Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're diving into a really fascinating source, AI 2041, 10 Visions for Our Future.
Mm.
It's by AI expert Kai-Fu Lee and the science fiction writer Chen Qiufan. And it's not just a regular book. They actually call it scientific fiction,
Hmm.
which is, well, it's this blend of short stories and some pretty deep tech analysis.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, I think, is how they use that imagination, but they ground it. Exploring AI's feasible impact 20 years out, the goal seems to be demystifying things, sparking a bit of empathy maybe, instead of just the usual sci-fi hype or scary headlines we often see. So our mission really is to pull out the key nuggets from their vision, help you understand how AI could genuinely reshape things by 2041.
Right, that definition, scientific fiction, that really sets the tone, doesn't it? It suggests we're looking at possibilities, not just, wild guesses. So if you ever wondered how AI might actually change your job or relationships, or even like what happiness means in that future, you're definitely in the right place. Let's explore this future. It feels closer than you might think. Okay, so AI is already in our phones. It beat a Go champion, which was huge. But what happens when it moves beyond that, into our daily lives, our personal connections? Let's dig into AI's core capabilities, starting with deep learning. This is really the bedrock, isn't it? The tech behind so many commercial AI wins we see. And that AlphaGo moment in 2016, that really shook people up, I think. It showed AI could do strategy in a way few imagined back then.
Right. And it's important to get how it works. Because it's not like humans writing tons of specific rules, if this, then that. Like manually coding, cats have pointy ears, deep learning is different. It basically trains itself on massive data sets, millions of examples with the right answers.
Mhm.
So tons of pictures labeled cat, for instance. And through that, it figures out the patterns. It learns, rather than being explicitly programmed for every detail.
Which makes it incredibly powerful, right?
Yeah.
Especially with enough data. It can customize things just for you. Think about Amazon, showing you exactly what you might want to buy. Or Facebook, adjusting your feed to keep you scrolling. It's all about that targeted accuracy.
Yeah.
Driving clicks, purchases, engagement. Okay, so if it can do that, what happens when AI becomes like a companion? The book talks about VPALs, these AI companions, Adamant and Solaris and Twin Sparrows. These sound like more than just chatbots.
Oh, definitely. The potential there, especially for education, is massive. Imagine personalized learning, always available, helping kids practice creativity, communication, even compassion. These are really crucial skills for an AI-driven future, and this is all driven by natural language processing, NLP, basically getting machines to handle human language.
Right. And AI is already better than us at some basic stuff, like speech to text or translation.
Yeah, in those areas, it often outperforms humans now.
But the bigger challenge is moving from just recognizing words to
Mm.
really understanding the meaning, the intent behind them. What's the bottleneck there? Is it just needing more data or something else?
That's a really good question. More data helps, of course, but it's more fundamental. It's about grasping nuance, context, the implied meaning, like humans do. That's where these huge models, the large language models, come in, like GPT-3. Hear about the parameters, right? 175 billion. It's enormous. And it can do a whole range of tasks surprisingly well, writing poems, code, manuals. And you can fine-tune it for specific things with relatively little extra data. It builds on that huge base knowledge, which naturally leads to the big question. Are we going to see artificial general intelligence, AGI, by 2041? The authors here, they suggest probably not. They point to needing more breakthroughs, big ones, in creativity, strategic thinking, maybe even consciousness itself.
Right. Okay. So not quite human level intelligence across the board just yet. But as AI gets better with language, it's also getting better at seeing. Computer vision. How are AI's eyes opening up new realities for us? You mentioned convolutional neural networks, CNNs.
Yeah, CNNs are key for computer vision. Think of them as being inspired by our own visual cortex. They start by detecting simple features, like lines and edges in an image. Then they combine those to recognize shapes, objects, eventually understanding a whole scene. And this ties into extended reality, XR. That's the umbrella term for VR and AR. The goal there is creating that strong sense of presence, feeling like you're really there.
And the book pictures. Invisible smart streams. What are those exactly?
Right? That's like the 2041 version of a smartphone. It's probably a combination of things. Smart glasses, advanced earbuds, maybe even haptic suits so you can feel sensations from the virtual world. You could interact with gestures. We see that with Aiko in My Haunting Idol. She's on a VR bike but feels the wind, the bumps because of her suit. Imagine that level of immersion.
Wow. Okay. So AI is getting smarter. It's seeing better, interacting more personally. Let's shift gears a bit. What does this all mean for society? It feels like a double-edged sword. Let's start with healthcare. That seems like a huge area for impact.
Absolutely. Healthcare is just swimming in data now, or it's starting to. Patient records are going digital. We have data on drug effectiveness, data from wearables. This massive amount of data is the perfect fuel for AI. It opens up so many possibilities for better treatments, better prevention, things humans just couldn't do before.
And the potential seems enormous. The book even says AI in radiology could beat humans by 2041.
That's the prediction, yeah. And also making big strides in pathology, ophthalmology diagnostics, plus speeding up how we discover drugs and vaccines. Things like figuring out protein structures or finding new uses for existing drugs. We saw that in contactless love.
Now, some people might remember early AI health projects, like IBM Watson, that didn't quite pan out as hoped. The book offers a really interesting take on that, doesn't it?
It does. It argues it wasn't necessarily an AI failure, but more of a data challenge. AI needs vast amounts of real-world data, patient outcomes, treatments, messy, complex data. Not just small, carefully curated data sets. That's a crucial lesson. It needs the scale and the complexity of reality.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And this hunger for data, it's not just in medicine, finance too, right? That brings up a whole different set of issues.
Definitely. Look at the Golden Elephants story. You have an AI insurance company, Ganesh Insurance, using what they call massive heterogeneous data,
Mm-hmm.
pulled from national IDs like India's Aadhaar system, social apps like ShareChat, to personalize insurance, potentially lowering premiums for some.
And the kind of data,
Mm.
it's incredibly detailed. Like whether you buy veggies or processed food, if you go to the gym or a casino, your investment habits, even your relationship status.
Exactly. All these tiny data points can feed into an AI's assessment of your risk, your preferences. And the consequence, as the book points out, is AI might end up knowing you better than you know yourself,
Mm.
which can lead to weird outcomes like getting sucked into YouTube for 3 hours because the algorithm knows exactly how to keep you hooked and maximizes engagement, maybe not your well-being.
And you can infer things you didn't even tell it.
Yeah.
Sensitive things.
That's the other side of it. Research shows AI can sometimes infer things like sexual orientation from microexpressions, or, like Sahej in the story, his Dalit status, which wasn't explicitly stated but could be inferred from other data. And this can lead to unfair outcomes, different treatment, even if it's not intentional discrimination by the AI's designers. Which brings up this huge problem, the explanation and justification issue.
Right. How does an AI explain its decision?
Exactly. Your loan gets denied. You ask why. The AI's reason is some complex equation with thousands of variables. How do you translate that into something a human can understand? Something legally or ethically satisfactory? It's really tough.
Speaking of things that are hard to grasp,
Yeah.
deepfakes, and this Jan arms race.
Ah, yes, GNs. Generative Adversarial Networks. The name kind of gives it away. You've got two neural networks working against each other. One is the forger, trying to create realistic fakes, images, videos, audio. The other is the detective, constantly trying to spot those fakes. And they push each other to get better and better. The forger gets sneakier. The detective gets sharper. It's that competition that makes them so powerful.
So it's like this constant battle fueled by computing power. An arms race, like you said. We see that with Amica and guys behind the masks, right?
Yeah.
His Jans could fool even good detectors. And the downsides are pretty scary. Spreading misinformation, blackmail, election meddling.
They are serious threats. But it's also worth remembering, Jans aren't only for deepfakes. They have constructive uses too. Aging or de-aging actors in films, colorizing old movies, enhancing image resolution, even helping discover new drug candidates by generating novel molecular structures. It's a tool, and tools can be used in many ways.
Okay, let's move from the digital fakes to the physical world. Automation, robots and autonomous vehicles. Robotics seems to be really maturing in industry now.
Yeah, factories, warehouses, logistics, those areas are seeing huge changes. The book suggests warehouses could be virtually automated by 2041, factories mostly automated. And it's not just warehouses, think agriculture, drones planting seeds, robots picking apples or lettuce, delicate work, and in daily life. We might see those R2-D2 style delivery bots in apartment buildings. Robotic waiters are already being tested.
And home robots too, beyond just vacuuming.
Right. The book imagines robots that can actually wash dishes, load the dishwasher properly, greasy pots and all.
Finally, the dream might come true. No more pre-rinsing.
Huh? Maybe. Or robots that can cook, you put ingredients in, a finished meal comes out. And then there are autonomous vehicles, AVs. They're evolving fast. It's not just about smarter cars. It's about a whole smart city infrastructure. Augmented roads with sensors, wireless communication. Like in The Holy Driver, where cars instantly reroute to clear the way for an ambulance.
And the safety potential is huge over time, isn't it?
Potentially, yes. A human driver has maybe, what, 10,000 hours behind the wheel? An AV network could learn from trillions of hours collectively, and it doesn't get tired or distracted. The hope is a massive reduction in traffic deaths eventually.
Which leads to that really provocative idea in the book that human driving might become unsafe or illegal on public roads.
Hmm.
That's a big shift to think about.
It really is. Like horse riding today, something you do in dedicated areas, not main roads. Of course, that shift would cause enormous economic disruption. Think of all the taxi drivers, truck drivers, delivery drivers. Their jobs would largely disappear. And industries supporting driving mechanics, gas stations, parking garages would shrink dramatically. And it brings us back to that tough question. If an AI does cause an accident, maybe a fatal one, who's responsible? Can the AI explain itself in a way that satisfies legal and moral standards? We don't have easy answers yet.
No, we don't. And these advances, while amazing, clearly raise huge societal questions. Job displacement is probably the biggest immediate one.
It's massive. The book is pretty clear. AI won't just automate routine blue-collar jobs, but also routine white-collar work. Bookkeepers, insurance underwriters, like Jennifer's father in The Job Savior, and even more complex physical jobs like construction, plumbing. They'll be affected too. It's a broad impact.
And it's happening now, quietly almost, with things like robotic process automation, RPA.
Exactly. RPA is like a software robot. It learns by watching a human do a task on a computer, and then it just takes over. The projection mentioned is stark. About 40% of jobs could be mostly done by AI and automation by 2073. That's less than a decade away.
40%. Wow. The consequences. Unemployment, mental health issues, inequality, social unrest. It's a grim picture. The book mentions universal basic income, UBI, as one response, but it also points out potential downsides.
Yeah, it's not presented as a magic bullet. While UBI could provide a safety net, the book explores concerns, like people potentially becoming disengaged, absorbed in VR perhaps, feeling lost and hopeless without the structure or purpose of work. It questions what gives life meaning beyond a paycheck.
So if UBI isn't the whole answer, how do we adapt? The book offers the 3 Rs.
Right. Relearn, recalibrate, and renaissance. The core idea is shifting focus to skills AI can't easily replicate. Creativity, complex strategy, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, managing intricate human interactions, things that are deeply human.
Which connects to another fascinating concept, the age of plenitude.
Yes, this idea that eventually the cost of goods could drop so low they approach free and work becomes optional. It sounds utopian, but the argument is based on converging trends. Energy costs plummeting thanks to solar, wind, better batteries, giving us superpower almost for free. Materials getting cheaper through things like synthetic biology, lab-grown meat is one example, and production costs falling dramatically due to AI-driven automation.
The story Dreaming of Plenitude shows this with an AI village in Australia. Homes designed by AI, built by robots.
Tailored to the people living there. It paints a picture where basic material needs are easily met. But then, what happens to our economic systems? They're built on scarcity, right? What happens when you have abundance? It's a fundamental shift.
Yeah, the book asks, what's the purpose of money then, if basic needs are covered? And it raises the idea that corporations might even create artificial scarcity to keep profits up, like they've done with diamonds or fashion.
It's a really provocative thought. That transition from scarcity to potential abundance forces us to rethink value, purpose, meaning, everything. How do we structure society when work isn't the central organizing principle?
Well, the book offers a model from that Australian setting, Project Yakurpa. It has a few parts. First, the Basic Life Card, BLC, covers basic needs, food, shelter, safety, like the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy.
Right. Then there's moolah, which isn't money exactly. It's like a currency earned through voluntary community work. The idea is to foster connection, empathy, compassion, meeting those love and belonging needs. Kira's story shows this. It's about contribution, not just having stuff.
And the third part, Driven by Citizens, Dream for Future, focuses on self-actualization. The top of Maslow's pyramid, giving people resources to explore who they want to be. Maybe using AI to revive indigenous languages or exploring space.
It's about finding purpose beyond just survival or traditional work, which leads to maybe the ultimate question, explored in Isle of Happiness. Can AI actually optimize human happiness? Victor's journey in that story digs into this, but it's incredibly complex.
What makes it so hard?
Well, the book lays out 4 big challenges. First, how do you even define happiness? It's different for everyone. Second, how do you measure it? It's subjective, abstract. Third, you'd need an unbelievable amount of personal data for an AI to even try. And fourth, who do you trust with all that incredibly sensitive data? Finding a trusted entity is key.
Okay, but there are potential technical solutions for the data privacy part, right? Privacy computing.
Yes, that's a hopeful area. Things like federated learning, where the AI learns on your device without your raw data leaving it. Or homomorphic encryption, which lets computations happen on encrypted data. And trusted execution environments, TEs, these technologies could allow powerful AI services while protecting individual privacy. They're crucial for building trust.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, from companions to plenitude, but there's a darker side too. Let's touch on the ultimate threats, quantum computing and autonomous weapons.
Right, these are the big existential risks discussed. Quantum computing is advancing fast. Google claimed quantum supremacy back in 2019. The book estimates an 80% chance of a powerful 4,000 qubit quantum computer by 2041.
And the big worry there, security-wise, is breaking encryption, like Bitcoin.
Exactly. Specifically, the older types of Bitcoin addresses, PGPK accounts. As of 2021, they held something like $120 billion. It's often called Satoshi's treasure. A powerful quantum computer could potentially crack that encryption and steal it. That's the scenario in quantum genocide, a massive destabilizing theft.
And then autonomous weapons, lethal AI.
A very different but equally grave threat. The problem is they lower the cost to the killer. It's easier to deploy a drone swarm than soldiers. They could be used for targeted assassinations or even, chillingly, the genocide of any group defined by data. They also speed up warfare dramatically, and they lack human judgment, common sense about consequences.
And the risk of an arms race seems different from the nuclear one.
Yeah, nuclear weapons have this awful mutually assured destruction deterrent. With autonomous weapons, especially swarms, a surprise first strike might be devastating and perhaps harder to attribute immediately. It lacks that stable deterrence, and it's a live debate now. Some major powers like Russia, the US, the UK are currently resisting calls for a ban. The quantum genocide story also includes that nightmare scenario, a HIMP attack, a high-altitude nuclear blast creating an electromagnetic pulse.
Wiping out electronics, global networks, pushing us back centuries.
A truly catastrophic possibility.
Okay, so looking back at everything, deepfakes, bias, job losses, quantum threats, killer robots, it's a lot. But the book makes a key point about where the problems really stem from, doesn't it?
It does, and it's crucial. The book argues that while AI presents these challenges, the problems are often caused by humans using AI poorly, either maliciously or just carelessly without thinking through the consequences. AI itself isn't inherently evil.
Right. It's about how we choose to use it. And what AI 2041 seems to argue, ultimately, is the answer isn't running away from AI. It's about leaning into what makes us human. The stories consistently show people overcoming challenges using creativity, courage, compassion, wisdom, human qualities. It's about figuring out the right dance between artificial intelligence and human society.
Exactly. The hope expressed is that AI can free us, liberate us from routine tasks, maybe even reduce some of our negative traits like fear or greed, allowing us to focus more on connection, love, self-actualization. In a way, the story of AI's future is also the story of our own potential.
So after all that, what stands out most to you listening to this? How do you see AI changing not just the world, but what it means to be human? And maybe the biggest question, if AI handles the routine, what kind of future will you choose to build? What's our true destiny then?